Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new lesson. Today, we're going to be looking at greetings, how to greet someone in English. Let's begin. There are two types of greeting in English. There is the formal greeting and the informal greeting. When do we use the formal greeting in English? Well, we use the formal greeting when you want to talk to someone you do not know very well or someone you just met, okay? For example, a stranger or someone in authority. Someone in authority can be, for example, your boss, okay? The second way we use a formal greeting is when we are attending formal events. What do we mean by formal events? For example, if you are attending a professional or an academic conference or a business dinner, then you may want to address the people at the conference or at this business dinner in a formal way, okay? Using formal greeting. The third way, the third use for formal greeting is when you are writing a formal letter or an email. For example, if you want to apply for a job, you want to use a formal greeting when you begin your letter. Okay, number 4, another way we use formal greeting is to address someone who is older than yourself. For example, your teacher could be older than you, or an elderly person could be older than you. Remember also that your teacher is someone in authority. So you would want to address your teacher in a formal way. Okay, so these are the 4 ways that we use formal greeting in English. Now, let us look at some greetings, some formal greetings in English themselves. Very simple. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Now, you might use these as they are, but when you are really addressing someone formally, you want to add the name or the title of the person. For example, you are going to say, "Good morning, John?" No. If this is the first name of the person, you may not want to address this person like this, okay? This is not correct in a formal situation. You want to say, "Good morning, Mr." Okay? So Mr. will be the title of the person, okay? Mr. So John's last name could be Smith, for example. So you would say, "Good morning, Mr. Smith." Okay? Good morning, Mr. Smith. So do not forget, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, plus the name and or the title of the person, okay, in a formal situation. You can also say, good morning, sir. Good morning, madam. Good morning, Miss somebody, okay? Miss, you know, Miss, for example, Miss, good morning, Miss um, Polenta, if that is the last name of this person. And good morning, Mr. Johnson, if that is the last name of this person. Okay? You can also say good afternoon. Don't forget, you add the name or the title of the person in a formal situation using formal greeting. All right, let us move on. When do you use informal greeting? Okay, simple. It's the opposite of the formal greeting. You use the informal greeting when you know this person well. For example, your friends, your family. Okay? Another opposite, remember in the formal greeting, you will use it when you are in a formal event. In informal, you have casual events. For example, in a party, okay, or in a social gathering where you have your friends and people that you know. So you want to address them informally. Also, when do we use the informal greeting? When you are writing a letter or an email or a text message to someone you know well, okay? You're going to use informal greeting. Let's look at some examples. You can say, hi. I'm sure you know this one already. You can say, hello. You know this one too. More casually, you will say, hey, or some people will say, what's up? All right. So don't forget, you can say hi plus the name of the person plus name of the person. Okay. For example, hi, John. Hi, John. Hello, Peter. Okay. Hey, hey, bro. Haha. That's your real pal right there. That would be for your friend. Or you can say, hey, what's up? Okay. Some people like to be cool like that. Let's move on. Now, how do you respond to a greeting? Okay. So, formally, we would say, in a formal situation, for example, we would say, how do you do? Okay. We can also say, it's a pleasure to meet you. Okay? In an informal situation, for informal greetings, you would respond and say, how are you? Or how are you doing? Or it is nice to meet you. Now, let's look at an example here. Okay? Let's practice for a bit. Now we have these two people. Take a look at this carefully. Okay? What would you guess this situation to be? Does this situation look like a formal situation or an informal situation? Think about it for a few seconds. Okay, now let's look at the conversation. Now, the man says, good morning, Miss Jenkins. How do you do? If you remember, is this a formal greeting or an informal greeting? Okay. What does Miss Jenkins say? Good morning, Mr. Toya. How do you do? All right. If you say this is a formal greeting, you are correct. Moving on. Mr. Toya says, it's a pleasure to meet you. And Miss Jenkins says, it's a pleasure to meet you too. So you can use this kind of greeting and this kind of response in a formal conversation. Let's move on. Take a look at this. What do you think this situation is? Is it a formal situation or an informal situation? Think about it for a few seconds. All right, let's look at the conversation. This is man number one, and this is man number two. So man number one says, "Hi, Paul, how are you doing?" Now, if you remember what we said about formal and informal, what would you say this situation is, this greeting is? Is it a formal greeting or an informal greeting? Okay. And man number two says, "Hi, James. I am doing very well. Thank you. And you?" "I am fine. Thank you. It's nice to meet you." "It's nice to meet you too." Okay, so this is an informal conversation. Okay, so you have an informal greeting here. So you can look at this, pause this video for a bit, read this conversation between James and Paul, and you can use these sentences in your own informal greetings. Okay, let's move on. And we are going to review so that you can remember what we have just learned regarding formal greeting and informal greeting. Remember that when you are greeting someone in a formal way, you are greeting someone you do not know well or someone you just met. And also people in formal events, when you're writing a formal letter or a formal email, and when that person is older than you. Also, you want to use the informal greeting with someone you know well, and when you are in a casual event, for example, a party, and when you are writing a letter or an email or a text message to someone you know very well. Great. Let us continue with some examples we are going to practice. Now, how will you greet these people in the picture? These people here. Will you greet them in a formal way or will you greet them in an informal way? Okay. Remember that the way you are going to greet people depends on the situation, depends on how you know them, depends on the context. Context means where, in what situation you find yourself, in what environment you find yourself amongst these people. Okay. Now, if this is your grandpa and your grandma, how will you greet them? Will you say, number one, "Hey, grandma"? Will you say, "Hi, grandpa"? Or will you say, "Good morning, grandma"? "Good morning, grandpa"? Think about it. Okay? Now, if this was my grandpa and my grandma, okay, I would say, "Good morning, grandma. Good morning, grandpa." Now, what will you say if this were your grandparents, or if these people are your grandparents. Okay? This, I will leave it up to you to find your correct answer. Now, how will you greet this person here? Well, I think many people in the world know who this gentleman is or was. Okay? Now, how will you greet this gentleman? Will you say hey or hi or good morning? Think about it. Good. If your answer is number 3, you are correct. But remember, you would say good morning, Mr. Mandela. Okay? Good morning, Mr. Mandela. Okay? Or some people might say good morning, President Mandela. Because who was he? He was a former president of South Africa. Okay? You know this. For those who do not know, now you know. All right, let's move on. How will you greet the following people? These people, take a look at them. Okay? They look like they know each other. Some of them look like they are friends. So, how are you going to greet them? Will you say hey, hi, or good morning? Think about it for 2 seconds. If you say hey, you are correct. If you say hi, you are correct. If you say good morning, you are also correct. All right? I hope you enjoyed this lesson today and you learned something. Don't forget to practice. Keep practicing, as practice makes perfect. If you like this video, please subscribe and share. Okay? I will see you in our next video. Bye.